and instill in me self-confidence. Suddenly you talk about past birth, previous birth, karma, totally out of line. Shri Dushyanth, Sridhar.
Namaskaram, Sudha.
Namaskaram.
Very happy to see you after a long time. I haven't seen the entire video, but I would tell you, as a person who speaks in educational institutions that include schools and colleges, yes, I'm very cognizant that people from all castes and communities do attend. So the content has to be slightly more tailor-made towards all children and should be motivational in approach. I'm not in denial of that. But that said, Sudha, there are two aspects. One, we say the government, be it the state or the center, and the government run schools should be religion, should be a-religious, should not be associated with one particular religion. We say that. But it was the very same government, Sudha, a year back, the son of the sitting chief minister, who is also a minister himself, presided over a conference stating that Sanatana Dharma should be annihilated. It was on the very same stage that the ideologue of the Dravidian party said that Hinduism and Sanatana Dharma are synonymous. And they equated this Dharma to, they say that government-run schools and colleges should have certain norms. Shouldn't those norms be applicable even to ministers? Point number one. Point number two, Thirukkural is held in high respect amongst educational institutions, and they are being tutored and taught in educational institutions. Thiruvalluvar says, Vilnal padamai nandrati agudaruvan valnal valiyadaikum kal. He says to avoid a rebirth, do your work well. So there are 9 kurals in the entire Thirukkural which talk about rebirth, and all this is taught in government institutions. So in the educational institutions, if a concept about rebirth is taught, then what was so obnoxious? Maybe the content
What it is, Dushyanth ji, I'll tell you what is so objectionable. You call me to speak about the, women CEOs in Indian companies. I mean, you're an educated man, so I come there and I suddenly talk about past karma or talk about how I keep Ekadashi fast. I am very, very a big believer. I go to all the temples every day. Out of syllabus, irrelevant. Imagine a child, I'm telling you, a little child, if you tell him or her that it is because of your past birth, the consequences you'll have to face, it will create trauma. I have seen this happen. I even know that in religious oriented schools where the Holy Bible or the Holy Quran is taught, it has an adverse impact. Just because Udayanidhi Stalin talks ignorantly and does not know the difference between Varnashrama and Sanatana Dharma, 2 wrongs don't make a right. This man was in a school. I'll come back to you. Let me see if Shalin has now been connected. Shalin?
Thirukkural says, which means all lives are equal.
Yes.
But what Mahavishnu spoke yesterday says not all of them are not equal according to your karma. And Thirukkural does not talk about karma at all.
And he argues, you're talking about self-confidence. What is the need for you to talk about past karma, present karma, what will happen and all that? You believe in reincarnation, keep it in your home. Don't bring it into school. Go ahead, Sridharji.
Sudhaji, since you have brought me to this panel asking for my opinion, 2 things. One, it is not about this individual person that we are talking about. If this individual person has spoken something irrelevantly against the topic what he has given, that needs to be condemned, that action has to be taken. But with respect to past karma and all of this, this is already taught in schools. This is already taught in this Tamil syllabus. It is there as a part of Thirukkural, and that Thirukkural is taught in schools. So my point is, if the education minister of Tamil Nadu comes and says, then he is ignorant about his own syllabus. Point number 1. And if he says that educational institutions do not have to preach such religious values, then he should be questioning his very own counterpart, Mr. Udayanidhi Stalin, about speaking about this. You cannot have a double standard. You cannot say that this should not happen while the other can happen. So I did say at the start, if I am a speaker, while I am a speaker in educational institutions, I speak to the topic, whatever is relevant to that topic. If this person has spoken, condemn it. But at the same time, do not whitewash all the other things that the government does. At the same time, Thirukkural does talk about rebirth, and that those kurals are taught at school.
All right. Shalin Maria Lawrence, before I finish this debate, one last word to Dushyanth Sridharji. Go ahead, sir.
See, keep this issue aside. There is one theoretical error. The other panelist said that Pirappukkum Yella Uyirkum. The full kural is Pirappukkum Yella Uyirkum Sirappuvva Seithoril Vetrumai. You have to complete the kural. And she said that doesn't talk about karma. I don't know how learned she is in the kural. With the commentary of Parimel Alagar, 9 kurals do talk about karma and rebirth. My point is whether he spoke or not is not the issue. Theoretically, that is a wrong fact. With respect to the person should be much more guarded and should be talking things that are relevant to the school.
Exactly. Exactly. He can talk about, Thirukkural, you can talk about Subramaniam Bharati, you can talk about the Vedas like you do, but just stick to the topic. A maths